Test, 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 test. I'm live. I'm live. I'm live. Is the live stream working? Is the sound working? Is the sound working? Check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. I had to reboot the live stream. The stupid. Just twice this has happened. I mean, I'll click it. I'll actually select the proper thing, and then sound doesn't show up. I try. Oh, it's just. Okay, wait a minute. Let's see. For some reason, it's not. Maybe people will come back. Okay, so can you hear me now? Just say if you can hear. Check, check, sound check, 1, 2. Is it working or not? Yeah, okay, good. Man, I scheduled it for 2:30 today, and I set all the settings right. And I think once I clicked it to go live, it just reverted back to the default settings where it doesn't have the settings right. Well, anyway, at least it works. Eddie's in. But anyway, the Q&A, somebody asked this probably last week. I think they asked, am I going to do another mud motor build or another engine hot rod? And those of you who haven't watched very long know that I'm good at blowing up these engines. The engine I have now, I've had no problems with. Sorry for the shakes. I'm trying not to bump the table, but the engine I have now, I've not had any problems with. The only problem is the valve cover gasket is rubber on these Champion engines, and they dry rot eventually. Hot, cold, and they just dry rot and they start leaking. So I replaced it, and I put my own custom. I made a head gasket, and it didn't seal right, and so I found a stock head gasket around, not head gasket, valve cover gasket around here and put on it, but I haven't had the motor back out to see. Really, the thing is, at the end of the day, it's just not worth modifying these motors. If you need more power than the stock motor, you just need to just double the horsepower and buy just a much bigger motor. That's really what you need to do. But it is fun to build these motors, and you'll learn a lot from it because you'll learn everything about the motor. You'll never have to take your motor in for somebody else to fix it ever again. You just know how to fix it. That alone is worth the price of admission. So, the current motor is a Champion 196cc engine, a power head. It's just a power generator engine using a lot of go-karts and mini bikes and things like that. And the modifications I have is I bought a genuine Ru-Ying carburetor, rejetted it, have an open, K&N type exhaust, and I have a Robertson's pipe going out the back and an RLV pipe, the silencer, the spark arrestor type muffler. It's not really a muffler. It just sort of arrests the pipe a little, and that's about it. So that's basically what I got going now. And that's running well. It's running fast. It's running well. I'm not having any problems. Once I started using the 93 octane, once I really got the carburetor jetted right, enriching the mixture a lot, it started working the way it's supposed to. So now I'm thinking the next step would be a CL1 stock racing camshaft, the original CL1, not the modified or the improved, but the actual original CL1 is designed for 5,500 RPM or something, which is, I'm really not even running that fast much of the time. But it's reground, so the base circle is shortened up, which in effect gives you more lift, but it's drop-in replacement, so I don't have to buy new rods and just use the same rod. You definitely have to set the rod tension or whatever, the valve lash again, but outside of that it won't change anything. So you see these live casts, it always takes 5 or 10 minutes for people to get logged on, and the audio went out again, and so I think I'm just gonna. Well, I just have to be mindful to check everything and don't assume that even though I scheduled the live cast doesn't mean that YouTube remembered to keep everything checked off for me. It's just one of those things, it's like, really? But so modifying a motor. My motor's running well. I'm not having any problems with it. I've run this motor well. The secret to building a mud motor, hot rodding a mud motor, is leave the governor alone. Don't take the governor out. Leave the governor alone. Make the power with the carburetor, the cylinder head, and the camshaft. That's where the power is. Taking the governor out. See, that the water's not smooth. Well, it is smooth at times, hourglass smooth, but it's not like out here on the street or on the drag strip, right? When out there, it's just constant smooth. When you're out there in the water and there's any kind of chop, there's all kinds of ups and downs, and that propeller is spinning around in the water, and it's going up and down and up and down, and it's never at 1 RPM. That motor is the RPM is varying all the time, and even though you think you're running straight and level at the same RPM, if you look close down at the governor arm, it is making all kinds of little minute adjustments, right? That's the only thing keeping your motor from just overspinning and just blowing itself up, and which is exactly what has happened to me every single time I remove the governor. Keep the governor in, it just runs. Now the next question is, how far can I push it with the governor in? And right now I'm, got the good cylinder head in. I got the good flywheel in, good decent carburetor, jet it properly, good exhaust, good intake. The next thing to do with that would be to take the cylinder head off, which is what I was getting to when I was mentioning when I was before the sound or went out or whatever. If you take the cylinder head off, take all the valves out, take the springs out, just take everything out of the cylinder head, get some sandpaper in there, and just start rounding off all the hard edges in there. What that's going to do is get more air and fuel. It's going to be less turbulence, because anytime air hits a dam, it's going to be turbulent on this side, right? Air hits the dam, it's going to be turbulent. If you can just sand that down and make it smooth, the air will flow smoother. So you'll get more air and fuel because less air and fuel is being wasted in turbulence inside the intake and exhaust port. So basically a type of porting, but it's really just a good cleanup job, right? So if I do that and add the original CL1 camshaft, the original CL1 is a regrind of the bone stock camshaft, where the base circle of it is, like a camshaft have the lobes and the base circle. They grind the base circle shorter, right? And that base circle, it has the effect of increasing the lift, right? So the valves will literally open wider, right? Which means you'll be able to get more air and fuel into the combustion chamber. But it's a bone stock replacement. It's just you just drop it in, and it's just, and you don't have to change out rods or anything. You just use the same rods, and you just have to set the valve lash a little differently, but that would make the best use of everything I currently have. Outside of that, it's really not worth unless you're just building a dedicated racing engine. And I would love to see a mud motor racing league. I mean, can you imagine that? Can you imagine a mud motor racing league? Like you get in some back creek or something, and it's just like almost like motocross or something, except you could have one straightaway, then you have to peel off down a creek, you have to jump over logs, you have to plow through deep mud, and you have to come back around. Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, I would definitely take the governor out then. I just blow up motors every race and just build a new motor for every race. I mean, it'd be worth it then, because you'd win the race. And win some money. At least win enough money to like build new engines. But when you know, the real thing is if you're having to modify these engines at all, you really just need like twice as much horsepower, or at least 50% more power. So that was the one question I got, was the building mud motors. I do want to continue building mud motors. I at some point do want to buy a bigger motor. The engine I have now is just a little 6.5 horsepower engine. It's probably producing 8.5 horse now with the mods I have. Maybe a little bit more than that, but you know, I would rather have a 420 Predator, but I'd have to buy a bigger kit for it to fit. And so that it's a complete repower, and that's not cheap. Even though these engines are cheap, inexpensive, I should say, well built, but just inexpensive. It's just more than what I have, and at this point, I'd much rather buy more cameras. Which brings me to another question. For North Central Florida, hey Keith, what's up, dude? Y'all have any questions? Just pump them in, man. I'm happy I got the sound running finally. That film I was talking about earlier, I sent. You may have received something today from the community page where I was talking about shooting a film called Sugarfly. Sort of people. The second question is people have been asking about the boat build. Keith has been one who's watched basketball. No, what football, dude? I really don't watch basketball at all. I don't really watch sports that much. Okay. Although I am fascinated by this new Alliance of American Football. They got a team in Birmingham. It's like 50 miles down the road, the Birmingham Iron, and some of the players played right here down the street in Alabama. So it's like it was really like watching another Alabama game, except they're just wearing black instead of crimson and white. The way who they played, Memphis Express. It was like they just beat them down. It was like, but it is. My mom likes basketball. She used to play basketball. My brother likes basketball, but I've never really watched it that much. Anyway, so I want to finish building this boat. I'm tired of walking out of my yard and there's this big blue blob of wood and tarp everywhere. I'm wanting to get that done, but I don't want to do just a bunch of how-to videos. I mean, but since I've been doing fly fishing, you guys remember the fly fishing videos I did last month, plus wanting to do that. And then I got a report from the doctor that my blood sugar has been increasing. So all that got me thinking. I said, what if we could just sort of put all that together and make a short film, like a short documentary film, which if you look at a lot of my fishing videos, that's definitely where things are headed anyway. So why not, let's just go ahead and do a bigger, longer project, like a 24 minute documentary film on that. Okay. And that way I can just do more regular sorts of fishing videos, so I can get more fishing videos out faster. Right. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't really like sitting here doing talking head videos. I hate them. And you guys would rather see me fishing anyway. So why not just do that? Right. So that's the update on the boat. I do plan on finishing it, but it's going to be one of the main focuses of the new film that I'm going to be working on. And that's going to take time to shoot. And I'm writing it now. I'm writing the film now. I'm doing those sorts of things. And I'm collecting more and more equipment. I bought a new recorder. This is a recorder called the Ninja 2. You may have never heard of this. It's probably backward for you. But Atomos, it's Atom OS. They make professional recorders for cameras. This thing will record an actual broadcast quality signal, 10-bit 422. That's a bunch of numbers and math that may not mean anything to you. Records in ProRes, DNx HD. My camera, which you guys probably know I don't like all that much. It's a Panasonic GH4. It's a good camera but it actually outputs a broadcast TV quality signal. It doesn't record that internal. You have to. It'll put it out to a device like this, right? So it has a lot of good features in it, and I've spent the past year or so collecting good Canon lenses. I'm probably going to sell a couple of my lenses, like this 70 to 210 zoom, which is all right. But I've decided to go all prime lenses. I have a professional recorder that records in professional broadcast quality. It's in the back. I don't feel like going to get it. These microphones are okay. This type of input is not a professional input. It's just how you have headphones and they get ratty all over time. That's kind of what happens with this kind of input because it's not properly grounded like a 3-prong XLR input. So I definitely plan on replacing these microphones, or I'll probably keep it for this camera, but start recording audio separate from video to that, putting there. So I say all that to say that this is what I'll be recording the film on. I'm waiting on a camera. I'm waiting on a cable so I can hook this to this so I can start shooting. But in the meantime, I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking. Razor Razzie, watch basketball. Alabama fan from Alabama. You got to drive. Okay. Fishing and boat building vid. Genius. Yeah. So yeah, if you're on the road, Keith, then just that's fine. I understand I generally do these live casts whenever I feel like it. I generally want to try to do them most every Friday. But I'm the type person that's just like, I hate being on the schedule. At least I can't, if it's like, it's got to be somewhere at a certain time. It just feels like your whole life becomes about being at that one place in space, at that one point in space time, and you can't do anything else. So when I do it like this, I'm a lot more relaxed as opposed to scheduling it. So if you want to help contribute to that film, just shameless plug, you can either go to my website, blackwarriorlures.com, and you can purchase products from there, and the proceeds from that will go into the film. I may start an Indiegogo campaign because I want to get some professional quality microphones, and you're talking, do it right, probably about $300 or $400 just for the microphones. A couple of microphones is all I really need to use with the with the recorder I have in the back. Just a little handheld recorder, about the size of an iPhone, but way thicker. Really awesome audio quality. But to use microphones, it'll just cost that much. And I'm just rereading this book. I don't know, can you see it? Documentary storytelling. You can get it. It's really a textbook. This lady, Sheila Coran Bernard. It's actually very good. I'm reading back through it now. I read through it once. Now I'm kind of reading. I'm spot reading it toward the sections. Because I have some friends who are diabetic, who are fighting diabetes. I have some, and might be kind of nice to bring them out here to the house and get them sit by the boat. We can do some documentary style interviews with it. That would be kind of neat, right? So I was reading the chapter here on interviews, that kind of thing, studying that. And so that was the whole deal with the boat. That was the main question I had with the boat. What other question did I have? Those are the two that I remember. I went to the river today because I wanted to actually shoot some footage, me fishing by the bank, because that's a way to get footage out very easily. It's just fish from the bank and just shoot from the bank. It's easier to get video shooting from the bank because I can do all kinds of cool camera angle stuff, right? I can put the camera up here, put it down here, do some cool stuff. There's no fish biting. I can go get a lot of B-roll. When I'm sitting in there in the boat, I have zero options, all right? Because I don't have a cameraman. I'm the cameraman. I don't have another person in another boat like they do on, if you've ever watched a TV fishing show, that's what they do. They have a cameraman in the boat with the talent. The talent may even have a couple of GoPros They'll probably have several GoPros around the boat, one on his chest, probably have one on his the net. You've seen them. You've seen that view where they have the net. Then they'll have a real cameraman there, and they'll have another guy in another boat with a whole other camera, right? And so you get all those. I can't do all that. I don't have that kind of money, nor do I want to be around that many people when I'm fishing. I would just like jump in the water and swim away, because it's like you people need to leave, because you're like you exist, and that's a problem. That's okay. Mosier. Did I get it? Because a Dozier. Mosier boy. Afternoon, man. Ha ha! Got it. I've been mispronouncing this dude's name for like a year or something. It's like this poor guy, man. But yeah, that's it. So yeah. So I've been reading through that, doing that, working on that, buying lenses. I buy let's see. Oh, anyway, all my lenses are in the car. I left them out in the car, but all I buy are old lenses, man. I don't use new lenses. All these are old lenses designed back in the 70s. A lot of them were produced in the 80s. Most of mine, I've looked up the serial numbers. Most of them all were produced in the early 80s. So they're all Canons and things. But, and I just much prefer them. And so been buying lenses. Here's an old one. I don't like this one as much. This copy has some fungus in it. These lenses, the old lenses, because they've been sitting in basements, people's basements, and in attics even, and they've been just sitting in the dark. And these old lenses weren't waterproof like a lot of the modern lenses are. Sometimes fungus can get in and grow in it, and and it develops a haze, and so things like that. But outside of that, the copies I buy are usually pretty good. But these two, I think I'm going to offer up for sale. It's a 35 millimeter, and this is a 70 to 210 zoom. Thing I don't like about this, look, see that? It moves. It's like they all do that. All these push-pull zoom lenses do that. They do that. So you're always, when you're shooting, you're holding it, and it could be creeping along, and it's just getting, and you're like, it's not right, but it's good for what it was. I bought this for $12. I mean, you guys have been watching my videos on a $12 lens. Some of the shots, not all of them, but some of them, so that's kind of fun. Trying to think what else. International shipping. I had someone who bought from overseas in the UK. My standard, shipping is just expensive, and shipping overseas is stupid expensive. So what I've generally done is done a $15 flat rate shipping overseas. That's what I've been doing. But I think what I'm going to do is, for all international orders outside of the United States, Canada, North America, Alaska, Hawaii, or would probably be exceptions, would be to just email me. I think I just need to put that on the website. Email me, or put a form up, say all international orders, just tell me what it is you want, and then what I'll do is split the shipping with you half. The shipping's usually about $15. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less, but if I take it, the average there, about $15, and just chop it in half, I'll pay half the shipping, you pay half the shipping. That sort of works, at least for international orders, because the shipping's so stinking expensive overseas. Now, I really couldn't do that domestically, because it's cheaper to ship domestically. But unless you're shipping out one of my big hand line reels, the shipping is almost always going to be around $7 to $8 to ship. Sometimes more, sometimes it's a good bit more, depending if they're living in a rural area. And the small packages, like like you're buying that little Swivels, that's just a flat rate $4. So $4 for the small stuff, 15 for the big stuff, and international shipping. Just email me and we'll try to work out something so that it's not insane somehow. All right, because I usually only get about 2 or 3 orders a year internationally. I mean, I had a couple of orders from Germany, one from the UK, one from Singapore. That's what you can do online. People don't really care. Yeah, it seems fair. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. So that's what I try to do. And it's, because people don't realize, people think they go to Amazon, oh, get free shipping. No, you're not getting free shipping on Amazon. That's why things cost more on Amazon. They're just adding the shipping to the cost of the product. You're just, right? Or they're taking the average sale price with the average shipping cost and sort of dividing it out over that whole spectrum. So the shipping's being paid for, right? And it's being paid for by you. It's just masked in sorts of the way they do it, right? So, you just have to keep that in mind. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Because I have to, the things I import from China like this, the shipping's crazy. It's insane. People think, oh, it's from China. It's easy to import things from China. Well, one, the United States is in a trade war with China right now. So that's making it worse, and then it's just expensive. Air shipping is expensive, because I'm buying in small quantities and I'm not buying truckloads of things. I'm buying things by the 1,000, maybe even 5,000 in some things. Like I bought these 5,000 of these, and people are just now really starting to buy them, because I knew that when I bought these and brought these little pole swivels in, that I was going to be able to do a lot of things with it. It's taken me several years to figure out exactly how I was going to use them. And once I started showing people, like the one video with, using it for weights, and you could put your egg sinkers in that thing, right? I mean, there's no reason, you can just imagine putting a nice 8-ounce egg sinker right on there, and just take your needle nose pliers. They're in here somewhere. Take needles, pliers, bend the end of it. You got a nice little wire sinker, bass sinker with the little. Or if you're making your own lead sinkers, just put this in the what do you call that thing? The iron. I need to do some more lead weight making videos. You can use that. Now you got that going. And I tied flies with these. I do all kinds of things with it. I use them in all my floats now. Come standard with that. So it's a useful thing. So I'm probably going to be looking for more products like that people can use in ways that I can't even think of yet, right? And because, that's probably what I'll end up doing more of that as time goes on. Yeah, material things in life are never free. Yeah, it's just never free. I mean, it costs somebody something, somewhere, some way, somehow. That's just the reality. So I went to the river today. I wanted to get some fish footage, but I left my video card, the card that goes in the camera, so I couldn't get any footage. I took my dad's 2 catfish rods, fished off the bank, out deep. I took 2 rods, sort of bluegill type rods, one with a float and one off the bottom. And then I took my fly rod. And it's been raining a lot. This has been a wet winter here. It's not been cold at all here, but it's been wet. But it's stopped raining enough that the river started to settle. It's not as silty. You know how sometimes river rise up to get all silty and stuff? Muddy, silty. It's getting clearer. the flows are coming down, and you're seeing, and the full moon will be here Tuesday. So I'm probably gonna fish hard Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because I need to test these jugs out, and I need to test this chum idea out that I've been talking about, and I want to do that either maybe starting tomorrow, probably fish Saturday and then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday, full moon, just see what we can do and see what's going on. Uh, with my river in the summers, it's just really clear. Right now, it's this sort of weird looking tannish color. But again, the silt is beginning to settle down on the bottom of the river. It's clearing up a lot. But you know when the river's coming alive, when the river all of a sudden just like turns almost a greenish tint, because what that means is the vegetation and the weed beds on the bottom have begun to like sprout, right? And once that happens, now the river's starting to sort of change around. That's kind of when you know it's time to get on out there. Yeah, you believe we're gonna get rain tomorrow here in North Carolina? Yeah, this rain's supposed to be here today. That's probably why you're getting it tomorrow, but it hadn't hit here yet. Maybe it was drizzling. It's been drizzling all day, off on, but no real like rain. They said 60%, 70%. Maybe it's gonna be later on. I forget what it was, but yeah, if you guys are getting the rain tomorrow, it's probably going to be here in like a little bit. If it isn't here, I don't see any rain right now, but or the clouds and stuff that are here now will be dumping rain on you tomorrow. That's just usually how it works, you know. But I just hope, I've heard the old timers say that when it rains a lot in the winter, it usually means good fishing for the spring because the river is up and the fish can have more places to find bedding and things like that. I've never really, well, I will tell you that year that we had the big drought, how long ago was that? 3-4 years maybe? Golly, are you serious? 87 in Texas? 87 in Texas? Golly. Dude, that's miserable. 87. It's hot here, but I'm kind of sweating now, but it ain't no 87. It ain't no 87. Oh gosh. Oh yeah, it's like 87. It's like miserable, dude. It's like at some point you want it to be cold, right? At least for a little bit, you can cool off. Oh, yeah. It could snow. He's mentioned that it could snow. Yeah. We get snow. We get one real bad freak ice storm about every 15 years. The last really big one was back in 90, what, 5, maybe, I think, maybe something like that. It was inches of ice, so you just couldn't go anywhere. But just that one freak snowstorm like that, or it was really like an ice storm, but really ice, not snow, just ice. But it does snow from time to time. It usually doesn't stick. It's usually never cold enough for it to turn into ice. But in those days where you have those really, really super cold winters where it does get down to like 20 degrees for several weeks on end, and then a big storm comes, and ice will just pile up like that. But that's just rare. It doesn't happen that much. Yeah. 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 Let's see. 87. Oh, you were talking about. Oh, will you be using your fish finder? No, I don't use fish finders, man. Someone gave me a fish finder. I had a fish finder. I had a Humminbird, the SI, the GPS side imaging, and I used it and used it and used it, and I found out I wasn't catching more fish. So I sold it and started using my hand line, and I started catching more fish. And so I'm like, why do I need a sonar? Now someone's given me a sonar, like a Humminbird 860 798 I or whatever. It's under the desk here. I hadn't plugged it up because I just don't really need it. I just don't. I just don't really. I just don't use it because the way I fish. Here's how I'm going to be fishing. I don't use one method of fishing. Here's what I'll be doing. When I get to the river, you go straight up to the dam, get into the current, and put out all my jugs. About 20. I got 29 jugs. I got 9 of the old jugs from last season, and I have 20 new jugs that you saw me talk about in the other video. I'll put all 30 jugs out basically, and just let them start drifting downstream. Then I will put out my chum jugs where I'm chumming specific spots. I'll put out a chum jug at one spot that I know has held fish. I'll put out a chum spot in basically three to 5 spots, just depending on how much I feel like working that day. Probably 3 most days. And then let them start chumming. Then I'll probably break out the fly rod and fish some shallows in the creek mouth, fishing some stumps and things like that to see if we can catch anything there. If we can't get anything there, I will go back upstream, pull a drift deep water with my drop shot rig, not necessarily on the fly rod, but probably the drop shot rig on either my catfish rods or my bluegill rods or even my hand line. Pull a couple of drift. If I don't get anything there, then I'll start fishing the chum jugs, the anchored jugs. By that time, that chum has had some time to spread out and draw in fish, and I'll anchor down and cast into those jugs. By the time I do all that, then I'll go check all 30 jugs that I have. Right? All right. And then if I'll catch the fish that are caught on the jugs, I'll catch them, rebait them, redeploy them. Jugs that have washed up to the shore, I'll check them and reposition them, and then go back to doing more fly rod. If the fly rod was catching fish, we'll get back on the fly rod. If the drift was catching the fish, then we'll get back on the drift and really focus in on the drift. Or if it was the anchored chum jugs that was catching the fish, we get back on that. And then every couple of hours, go back and check the jugs, right? So you got 3 systems of fishing that are covering insane amounts of water. I don't need a sonar, right? I just don't need it. It's just, really? Okay. Yeah, okay. I think I've seen that eye bobber or some version of it. It's like a little small version that's like this, I don't know, smaller than this, right? It's like, yeah, I have a hard time seeing that as working. I don't see how you're going to get a good image if it's always just doing this in the water all day, right? It just doesn't seem like it'd be steady enough, because your boat is nice and steady on the water. You'll get a good image. I'm not saying that sonar is bad. I think it's valuable. It's just that the sonar is up here, because you remember I spent a whole year just dragging the bottom of the river with a hand line, right? Pass after pass after pass after pass, dragging the bottom with a hand line. So there is a direct connection between what I see, where I am, what my hand feels, and how that has all been cataloged in my brain. So yeah, I am using sonar. It's just old school sonar. It's just, it's up here, right? And that's just how that works. I know where the river bottom comes in, where it comes up out of the river bottom onto the shelf to fish the shelf. I don't know the shelf as well, because there's a lot of blow down there, and I don't fish that part as much, but the actual riverbed and where it comes out of the riverbed onto the shelf, I know which side of the river is deeper, and because that's just what I learned. I know where the old dam is and sort of and the structure of it, and so you if you do it that way, it takes longer. But when you do it that way, you know where everything is, and you sort of become like an old timey fisherman. Um, yeah. See, that's the difference. See, I fish. You saying you fish in the lake, and in times you fish in different areas of the lake. Yeah. I'm just fishing the river, so it's all very. It's to me, it's a lot easier. That's the main reason I fish the river, is because essentially with the river, it comes down. Even if you're fishing one of these trout streams, it all comes down to the same thing. You go upstream until the first immovable object, and then you fish down from that immovable object. That could be a beaver dam and a trout stream. It could be trees blow down, things like that. You just get as far up the stream that where the fish can't get any further, and then you fish down from that. Uh, well, with any dammed up river, you just fish the dam down. And a lot of big reservoirs, like it's big and it's like wide and it's deep and it's long. Yeah, I could definitely see sonar, because that'll help you eliminate a lot of water like that. It'll help you save a lot of time, because you're dealing with you're dealing with a mass that's just so big that you spend a lifetime just trying to figure out where things are. When it's another reason why people have such big motors now, because let's say the fish are on the south end of the lake or something, you got to run 20 miles. Well, hang on, if you had to paddle that, you'd be like miserable. So yeah, it does help. I'm not opposed to sonar. It's just that given the way I fish, the waters I fish, the systems that I fish, I just don't really need it. I'd rather take that money and buy new cameras. That's just, you can give me a new camera any day. How long have we been going? Oh, 42 minutes. So I'm trying to think, were there any other questions? I think maybe those are the main ones. Oh yeah, by the way, if you don't really know, if you ever want to help out the channel, either buy the products from the website, blackoriollures.com. And on these live stream, there's this little $sign there. It's like I don't know what they call it, but you click that and you can post something, and that would help. That would go toward helping the channel, or if you want, just whatever, check my blood sugar yesterday. A lot of people know I am diabetic. Blood sugar's falling. It was actually very good yesterday. I haven't checked it today. One of the things I want to explore with this sugar fly film, if you don't know, when I was first diagnosed, my dad had it, my sister had it, my brother has it, my grandmother had it, and now I got it. It's type 2, not the type 1. The type 1 is the real bad one. But I've noticed that when I was, I can't give any medical advice or anything, but when I was sort of doing it my way when I first diagnosed, my blood sugar was just really nice and low. But then the doctor wanted me to go to the hospital where they have a class that they teach. And I took the class, and good people, but when I started doing it their way, my blood sugar just sort of started creeping up. And I thought, okay, I don't get it. Now that I'm back to doing it my way, it's actually leveling out and being where it's supposed to be. So I'm like, so that's part of what I want to explore in that film. Not that I really want it. Again, I can't give any medical advice, but one of the things I've learned in life is when you just do what you're told, you're probably not going to get anywhere. All right. It's just been my experience. It's just been my experience. Like the sonar thing. I bought this sonar, used it, didn't catch more fish. Started doing it my way. started catching fish. Well, well, doesn't mean that everybody should do it my way. Doesn't mean everybody should use sonar either. It just means that you have to look at life. People are in different places at different times with different. Like, here's one thing. This camera. This GH4. GH4. I read, I don't know how much footage or material, YouTube videos that said this would be the perfect camera for what I'm doing. You know, YouTuber, you ought to get a GH5. Can't get that, get the GH4. Can't get that, get the G7, and it's going to be awesome. And like, I hate it. It's just not. One, I've sort of outgrown it. I don't want to, you know, I'm ready to buy a true entry-level cinema camera now, right? Which is what I had thought about buying when I first bought this, but like the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, it didn't come out until a few months ago and things like that. So I needed a better camera than what I had, which was the old Nikon D3300, which I absolutely hated. This was way better because it got me to use good glass, and it has, in terms of technical specification, this camera is actually better than the camera I really want. But the camera I really want is a Canon C100. It's actually a much better camera for what I'm doing. But if you go talk to all the experts, they tell me this is the best that I need, and I'm telling you right now that no, not really. It's just not. So, all right, gotta run, Mauser. Oh, I'm sorry. I did it again. Mosier. Okay, yeah, there we go. All right, so see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. No sounds. Derek Smiley commented, no sounds. There's no sound in your video, even though there's sound. They're looking at the wrong one. They don't realize they got the wrong one. They're looking at the wrong stream. Never mind. I'm looking at this is a comment from a different. Okay, but anyway, that's a comment from a comment came on. Praying for you, Dave Moreno. I appreciate it. Thanks. So yeah, So looks like so we're just gonna keep it. You know what I'm doing now is I'm going on what they call an alternate day fasting. One of the bad things that I think has happened, at least here in the Western world, is this idea that you're supposed to be eating 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 meals a day, which is just not the way people have eaten throughout the history of mankind. There's always been a natural cycle between feasting and fasting, or feeding and fasting, just like night and day. That's always been there. It's always been around. So, but anyway, so I've been doing that. Blood sugar's coming down, weight's coming off again, and I am walking a lot, because one of the reasons why I walk is not, I hate working out. I absolutely hate working out. But what I've managed to do is to convince myself is this is not really a workout. This is, I call it creativity. What do I call it? I call it creativity stimulation training, right? One of the things that diabetes does is it assaults your nervous system. When I say assault, it deprives your nervous system. The sugar is just floating around in your blood instead of being used by your brain or your nervous system, or even in your muscles, or even stored as fat if you just don't need it or whatever. Or, I'm not a physician, I'm not a physiologist, so understand that. But from what I understand, your brain needs sugar, your nervous system needs sugar. If the sugar that you need is just floating around in your blood, and not being, and your body's not metabolizing that sugar properly, then that means my brain's not doing what it's supposed to do. My nervous system's not doing what it's supposed to do, right? Which means I'm not being as creative as I can be with this disease. So this disease is a threat to everything I'm doing here on YouTube. And I view it as a threat and an enemy, and it's like we just have to get rid of it. I don't care what I have to do. I don't care if I have to just not eat every other day. I don't care. Right? And so, which totally goes against what the doctors want you to do, but based on my own experience and others, it works. I'm not saying that everybody ought to do that. I'm not saying it's the right thing for everybody, because people are in different places and under different circumstances and things like that, but it's working for me. So that's one of the things I want to explore in the film, just this journey. But I got to get to shooting, and I am working, so I'm doing a lot of walking, creativity stimulation training, because it helps me think a lot. And so while I'm thinking, I can be thinking while I'm walking a lot. I'm thinking, and exercise triggers your body to start using some of the extra sugar too. It'll trigger some of the cells to open up and start using the sugar. It's very good. And on the days that I will fast, I'll do some weight training, because if you just do some weight training, you won't lose any muscles or anything. So that's, I'm just do push-ups and squats. I don't plan on being a bodybuilder or anything. But that's what I do. And one of the themes in the film is YouTubers, specifically YouTubers, need to take care of themselves. If you're self-employed, you have to take care of yourself, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to do the thing that you're trying to do, right? Because it's easy to get caught up in, I got to get these videos out. I got to make these sales. I got to try to think about more product to import. And all the while, you have this disease that's just sort of eating away at your creativity and eating away at you, and it's just ravaging your whole mind and your body. And so it's a very serious thing, and I take it very seriously. And let's see. Have you watched The Magic Pill on Netflix? No, I haven't watched it. I remember watching a film on what's the name of the guy? I don't know, that Super Size Me documentary that came out several years ago. I don't know, maybe 10 years old now. But The Magic Pill, no, haven't really watched that one. So, but outside of that, man, I'm probably gonna start saving to buy like an entry-level cinema camera at some point. It's a good camera, works. I like it in that it processes the image from the really is the lenses that are giving me the look that I really want. This is just a image processor. It's just, that's all it is to me. So the magic is in the lens, not in the camera body itself. But anyway, my voice is getting a little raw. Great one to watch and understand your diet. Okay, yeah. And that's another reason why a big part of it is to do a lot of fishing and catch a lot of fish, because we know fish are healthy in LDLs or the good cholesterol. And that's another thing that has happened as well. When I first started doing this, I was catching a lot of fish, eating a lot of fish. Yeah, my good cholesterol started going up. The bad cholesterol started going down. And so that kind of thing was going. And then last year, I didn't get as much fishing in because I was doing more thinking and stuff. And now it's my bad cholesterol. The bad cholesterol is still down, which is good. But the good cholesterol is also down because I wasn't working out and I wasn't eating as much of the healthy fish and stuff. So, and that is just a little thing. But ultimately, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I want to do tons of fishing and catching my food, because the fish are just so healthy to eat, and it's so fresh out of the river. It's way better than anything you get in the store. You guys know that. But anyway, man, we're coming up on 54 minutes and 38 seconds now, and my voice is getting not too raw, but raw enough that I want to quit. I think, and I gotta try to get a. I'm really gonna. I gotta try to get a fishing video shot tomorrow and get it uploaded tomorrow evening. My goal is to get whenever you want to come to Texas, come for some content. Come on, yeah, dude. There was a guy the guy I bought my fly rod from was from Texas. I think he said it was in the hill country. I don't know where that is, but he would tie these things called cat's whiskers. There is a guy who would like assault his cat, I guess. I don't know if he assaulted his cat, but his cat left hair all around the house, and he developed a fly based on his cat's hair, and it's called the cat's whisker. I don't think he hurt his cat or anything, but he would tie these cat's whiskers. He would tie them in olive and use these old Phillips and 6-7 weight fly rods to catch stripers on the striper runs, and that's how I really first got into fly fishing, especially getting my first really expensive fly rod. It's really expensive to me. It's like $150 when I bought it, and that's used. And so that was a good one. But I'm still wanting to build another fly rod, but between buying new lenses and the recorder and wanting to buy some microphones, I'm gonna have to put that off. And the main goal is to get this boat built and I really want to get the boat built, but happy Friday, everyone. Throwaway. Let's see. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. We're almost going an hour here, so that's all I got. I generally want to do 4 videos a week, but I think I'm going to end up changing that around. I may drop it to 3 because I want to get more fishing content out. For talking head stuff, I'd rather do this kind of thing where I can talk to you, you can talk to me, we can talk to each other. And and then spend the rest of my filming just trying to get more content on the river. And then you have the once a year, maybe I'll do a higher end project like the film that I'm talking about now. And but anyway, I am signing off at 57 minutes and 30 seconds. See ya. Yes, I want to end. I click end stream, and then it asks me, do I want to end the stream?